if I want to keep doing this, I have to have fun doing it. I've been through a lot, and if it's not fun, then what am I doing it for? I'm not sure there was a singular moment or time. It's just a reflection on a lot of things that I've done and been through in my career. I think I've been through more than most, and certainly not easy on the brain or the body. So just trying to have fun doing it again.
All right, so that was earlier in the week. Joe Burrow just sounding down and really raising eyebrows about his future in Cincinnati. Well, then his wide receiver, Jamar Chase, responded to those comments when he was asked about it yesterday.
I thought this was an AI. Did this really happen though? That's real?
Yesterday? Yes. Well, it depends on what you saw.
I don't really know nothing about it at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? That's something.
You might have seen something that we're not.
I mean, but like I've seen a little bit from the TV walking outside from practice, and then like I turned my eyes, but I don't know nothing about it. At the end of the day, I see him the same every day. To me, he loves football. You know what I'm saying? But that's a him question. I can't answer that for him.
Okay, I felt like this was fair from Jamar Chase. Rich Eisen is here with us now on First Take. And so, Rich, welcome. You ready to get the hot take off? Here we go.
I am ready to roll.
What do you think about Joe Burrow's future in Cincinnati?
That sounded very Andrew Lucky to me. It sounded like a guy, I mean, when anybody starts a sentence with, if I want to keep doing this, the follow-up question is like, wait, you don't want to keep doing this? Are there circumstances under which you don't want to continue to do this anymore? And it sounds like a guy who needs a break, and maybe literally by taking some time off. And then you know that he's had all this time away in rehabbing a toe injury. But I'm also thinking it's a figurative break. He needs a figurative break or a clean break. Is it from football? Is it from the Bengals? I mean, these would be all my follow-up questions for Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously talked about it yesterday, and this is a guy who's been through a ton since being drafted by the Bengals. He's also had a ton of success individually when he's on the field. If you know who Joe Burrow is a winner. Joe Burrow is a competitor, and football is too hard to prepare for and to play when you're relatively healthy, as opposed to what he's been going through with injury after injury, not being protected up front, and then playing at these high levels and not even getting chances to be a participant in the playoffs. And that Joe Burrow sounded sad.
Yeah.
That Joe Burrow sounded troubled. That Joe Burrow sounded reflective of, I've played this game my entire life to be able to win, to be able to compete, to be the best I could possibly be. I am individually the best I could possibly be when you protect me, when I'm healthy. But even then, you haven't built an infrastructure to give me a chance to see team success. It could be a break that he needs.
They need a new coach. I said it yesterday, and I'll say it again today. He ain't playing for the right man. That's number one. Number two, the man has been sacked 203 times. Those are sacks. I didn't bring up the amount of times he's been hit. Think about that for a second. Think about the fact that Andrew Luck retired being sacked 29 less times in 13 more games than Joe Burrow. Take into account what they look like organizationally under Mike Brown, what this team has been in terms of its failure to protect them, insulate them, and you really, really have your answer. And then, if you remember yesterday on national television, Rich Eisen, I read a quote from Mike Brown in 2015 about the differences he had with Carson Palmer. And it was almost mirroring what's going on right now. You see what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it. You got an owner that's notoriously cheap, even though obviously there's a floor to what you can spend what you have to spend in the NFL. So he definitely meets that. But in the same breath, we can't accuse him of that this time around, because the lone piece of culpability that Joe Burrow has in all of this is that you did come on national television last year during Super Bowl week, right here on this show, live from New Orleans, and he said they need to re-sign Jamar Chase, they need to re-sign T. Higgins, and they need to re-sign Trey Hendrickson. And the Bengals did all three. You mentioned nothing about that offensive line. You mentioned nothing about prioritizing protecting yourself in terms of that offensive line instead of some guys that, the talents that they are. So I get the level of culpability, but in the end, I feel bad for Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow is one of those dudes that goes out there. This is the third season in his 6 years. He's been out for a chunk of games, all right, due to injury and lack of protection, even though this latest injury, you could blame it on anything. And he's looking at a team that can't do anything without him. Yeah. And he's saying, damn, do something, help me out. Can I make a mistake? Can a pursuing defensive lineman jump up and intercept the ball? Can I make a mistake and lose a game for us and us still have a chance? I can't do anything wrong in order for us to win. And that's the indictment against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he knows it. I think he sees it. And I think his frustration has swelled. And that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, to Stephen A's point, without Joe Burrow under center, the Bengals won one football game. That's not great. Cam Newton?
I think the frustration that Joe Burrow has kind of let the world in on is to what Stephen A just mentioned. I do have to play perfect in order for us to have a chance to win. Even when I do play perfect, that doesn't mean that we will win. That's on one side. But on the other side, I'm saying to myself, Joe Burrow, everything that you have ever asked for publicly, you've gotten. You've gotten T. Higgins. You've gotten Jamar Chase paid handsomely. You've been paid handsomely. So do I want to say Zach Taylor and Mike Brown had a big part into mismanaging, talent like Joe Burrow? Yes, but it's only but so much that they can respectfully do if they don't have no money to go find adequate help. So when RC says you have to find protection, you have to find help, where are we going to get it when we spend all our money at the skill position offensively? That's how you get into these specific situations, and it is alarming. It is frustrating for a player to have to play elite all the time, every snap, and still come up with a loss.
Well, you get it through the draft. That's where you get it. And you draft better than you have. I mean, Shamar Stewart was one big fat nothing, pretty much, a big nothing burger from the first round. And they had a dispute, as you know. Yeah, I just dropped that word. That there was a contract dispute that was weird, to say the least,
they thought he was going back to
during
college.
the spring, during the summer. And in terms of, you mentioned Mike Brown, Stephen A. I mean, we have a sound drop on my show that we play every time the Bengals sign a player, and it's the sound of a Velcro wallet ripping open. Because that's how hard it is. That's Mike Brown. That's his MO, despite obviously having paid these two wide receivers and eventually Trey Hendrickson. Yeah. But Marvin Lewis is around in Cincinnati longer than what Bengals fans expected or potentially wanted, because the Cincinnati Bengals and Mike Brown do not pay coaches to not work for them. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if they're going to make that change. I just think it's Joe Burrow just being honest at a moment in a press conference where he's kind of feeling it. And when you talked about what you talked about with Andrew Luck, that is spot on, Stephen A. And the fact that two things. One, Jamar Chase saying, I don't know anything about it, nor did any of Luck's teammates. That was shocked everybody when he's like, I'm out. And then two, Burrow did say it affects the brain. Is he talking about himself mentally, or is he talking about the number of times he has been hit behind this offensive line? It's just one big question mark.
Just to defend Joe Burrow a little bit here, though, when you say he didn't ask for offensive line help, I mean, what's he supposed to do? I need offensive line help. I want my receivers signed. I need an entire defense retooled. He would have had to go through almost every position group.
That's true, but I'm just saying that you've got to know you're the franchise, and you've got to touch on what you need most, particularly when you're talking to an owner that is notoriously cheap.
Yeah, and I think
you got to know that.
And the other piece, we also have to realize what's the line of questioning as well. At that point, we were talking about three extremely valuable players who were up in free agency or who were asking for more money. And it's not necessarily he's asking, okay, what do we need in order to be great? He's saying Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Hendrickson has poured into this team, and they deserve to be paid by the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, and in the long run, again, you take a look at what's happening with the Colts now. They gave up 2 first-rounders for Sauce, and then 3 weeks later, Daniel Jones is gone. And that's a dreadful injury because you've already gone all in on Daniel Jones by trading those first rounders for Sauce, thinking this is the year for you to make it. Nobody saw the Achilles injury coming. I mean, they signed Chase, they signed Higgins. Nobody saw this toe injury coming in the